Hello, welcome to another episode of Playing Telephone. I'm Scarlett Sanchez.
I'm Dennis Kluba.
How are you doing, Dennis?
I'm good. You had a wild week. You had some friends, you had some family in town. Mm-hmm. I was just working, but I mean, like, it felt like the whole weekend went by super quick. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I didn't see much of you at all.
Sunday morning. I saw the aftermath.
Just Sunday morning coming into your apartment with sunglasses on.
Hey. Oh, hey, are you good? Yeah, I'm fine. Why? Just didn't sleep last night. Okay. Get some water. Get some coffee. You had family in town, so
I had my brother and sister-in-law in town, and then my dad's here visiting for his birthday tomorrow.
Just a big family affair.
Yeah, keep them coming.
Gosh. Well, that was like, our lives were the most like calm things that happened this past week. The world just popped off in pop culture this past weekend. Like, it was on a different level. We were like texting each other, I feel like, every day. Like, are you seeing this? And I was basically just shooting Scarlett messages like, the world's ending. Like, everything that I said from last week was completely wrong, and Scarlett was completely right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. I love the sound of that.
This is like the second time. The first time was like a year or two ago when you basically demolished me in VMA's stuff. Like the first year that we did this, you would be like, yeah, I know this. And then I'd be like, oh, maybe not. And then you won everything.
I honestly love that we do bets, but then I really wish we would follow through on them because I stay winning.
That's true. You always win them. But like, I feel like I have a lot of conviction in my first thoughts. So it's like everyone's maybe rooting for me a little bit. And then they're like, nah, just kidding.
Well, the bet that we made last week was, is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce anything? And it felt like a hard launch on Sunday.
Yeah.
Or at least a hard launch of the beginning of something new, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, so basically before this, and the crazy thing is I didn't even know this was happening at the time, but we shook on it.
We shook.
I know. That's on camera. Yeah, exactly. Okay, but before that, all it was these rumored hanging outs based really on Travis and Jason, his brother's podcast, where they're kind of like, teasing, beating around the bush on what'd you do this weekend and things like that. That's really the only kind of evidence we had. Maybe some sightings, kind of.
We didn't see any photos, but Travis had said that he had invited her. He went to her Eras concert back in July in Kansas City, and there'd been a little bit playful comments. I feel like in older videos, who's your celebrity crush back in August? And Travis said Taylor Swift. There was something even way back in 2016, which I think this was just a coincidence, but they did the marry, fuck, kill thing, and he said that he wanted to kiss Taylor Swift. So little things like that, people are obviously digging back to the past now because now that they've been connected, because Taylor Swift was at the Sunday game.
At the Chiefs game, in the booth with his mom and dad, Ed and Donna.
Which we talked about things that he looks for in a woman, and something that he said was someone who's kind and sweet like his mother. And there's Taylor Swift being sweet next to his mother. That was the first time that she'd met his parents at that game. But
what did before we on the game, what did you, like, it was Sunday. You see these things on social media. Where did your heart and head go in that moment? I can tell you where mine went. I was like, oh, it's real. That was my initial. Yeah. Were you pumped, or were you like,
obviously
I saw this coming? I didn't know.
Oh, I was pumped about it because I know that he had invited her to the game because he had said that. Yeah. But again, he was doing those little hints that I didn't really feel necessarily real.
Yeah.
I don't know. My gut feeling was saying that something was happening. Yeah. Again, though, they're not dating. We have that conversation a lot, but I feel like it's something new. I feel like they've been talking at least for a couple months. Apparently, they've had several hangouts before this big game.
Right.
Which were apparently more intimate, more private. Obviously, Taylor doesn't really like to put her public relationships out there
right.
until she's ready to. So clearly, she's ready to.
That I think was the biggest thing to me too, was even when we talked about it, I know how your feelings about Maddie Healy, not great. But even during that time, whatever that was, weird. They were like seen out kind of doing these hangouts, which weren't massive events. You know what I mean?
Right.
Versus it's very rare, I feel like, for her to do something like this hard launch. And we don't even know if they're like fully dating or hooking up or just hanging out, whatever. But to immediately go to national television where you know you're going to be broadcast and then walking out of the tunnel together.
Just the coolest thing ever, because this is so Taylor Swift. This was making me so happy because she's cheering in the booth. Everybody's going crazy for Taylor. I mean, every single interview was about Taylor Swift. Interviewing Patrick Mahomes, the coach. They're like, oh, how'd you feel? Were you more nervous with Taylor Swift in the crowd or in the audience? They're like, yeah, I mean, Travis had mentioned, Patrick was like, yeah, Travis had mentioned that he invited her to the game, but I never know if I should take Travis serious or not. But then here she is up there. And then he ended up getting a touchdown too, which she went crazy for. And it was funny because all my TikTok was just full of everything about Taylor, her reactions and everything. Or girlfriends asking their boyfriends, like, did you even know who Travis Kelce was before this? Like, Taylor Swift's putting him on the map. And they're like, dude, no, he's like the best tight end. So it was funny seeing everybody's reactions to it.
I felt even more so because I think that when you're in the booth, it was, you know what it was also giving? This is just coming to me now. It was giving big Giselle Tom vibes. She was to be big, like into the games. You know what I mean? Like where they would always flash to her in the booth, like very intense into it. Obviously not the same situation, but
I was gonna say anything Taylor just seems bigger and
for sure
better. I don't know.
Well, she's just so big. Yeah. The thing that was really damning for me, because I think that number one, the first thing was the family being there. I don't know if they're at every game. I don't watch every Chiefs game, but
they definitely go a lot. Yeah. There's so many sweet moments. I feel like the Super Bowl when she comes and hugs both the sons, Donna. I feel like Donna goes to almost everything.
It could be. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know her schedule, but
either way, the thing that was damning to me was them walking out of the tunnel and then the photos of them leaving in the car.
That convertible
with the sunset felt like it felt like out of a Taylor Swift album.
100%. I feel like that could have been the album cover for her next one.
Yeah.
Just really romantic. I don't know. And a fan got a video of them obviously driving off. There was some speculation that she might have gotten, because she walked right in through the front door. She walked in with his publicist. Nobody was really yelling her name because people weren't expecting it because she kept it so under wraps. Yeah. But for her to walk in the front door of a huge NFL game, of a huge stadium was cool to me. And then, though, obviously once she was put on the big screen, people knew that she was there. So there's some photos of this popcorn carrier that's super tall. So people were saying that, oh, they think that she snuck out through there because how else would she get out through the suite? And I mean, it goes into the public, so people would have seen her. And then she sneaks out the back, grabs him, and then gets into the convertible. And apparently, I was seeing on TikTok too that they got lunch or they got dinner after that, and for people to leave, she paid for everybody's meals to get out of the restaurant so they could take it over. How do you feel about that? There was some mixed reviews, like, let the people stay, but
I don't think you can let the people stay. I think it's nice that she paid for their meals, but also it's a little bit cringy to like make people leave a restaurant, I feel like. But at the same time, I'm not Taylor Swift, and I don't think I'll ever reach that amount of fame. So, like, I don't know what that's like. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you, like, if that is weird or not. You know, like, I don't know.
She really does have, though, like, what do you call it? The Midas touch, because everything with NFL ratings are boosted up to 24 million. Jerseys, his jersey sales.
Travis Kelce,
yeah, spiked 400%. That's insane.
Yeah.
And then also I love that outfit that he was wearing.
Yeah.
What's it called? It's like
from Etsy. It was like a king. The person that made it was, I forget what the
Kid Studios.
Something like that.
And it's called like the bedroom painting, but they were really smart and they smacked 1989 on front of their label. So everyone was thinking that he bought it because of her, but really he wore it to the game and then they started advertising it and then that made it blow up. And those are already sold out too.
Yeah.
Those are about $300 too. So people were just ready to go.
Well, people are giving their life savings to Taylor Swift. That's why she was able to pay for everybody's meals.
That's true.
Literally this year she's robbed people. That But I think that some of the takes that I had from last week still do stand.
Okay.
The pure publicity, like you just named with the Midas touch of Taylor Swift, like being in and around the NFL, dating Taylor Swift is like you are catapulted to like that level of fame. Not that Travis Kelce wasn't big before. Like we said, he was an amazing player within the NFL, but you just kind of jump into a different level of stardom anytime that you're associated with her. So I still think that take does stand, that like his PR and publicist, I felt like was kind of alluding to this launch.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks with the podcast and then Kristen Cavallari's show. And it felt like there was something in the works there.
Yeah, and he jumped over 1,000 followers.
Like overnight?
Oh, yeah, just from on Sunday, it just kept growing. Because I don't know, if you weren't following him before, now you want to know what's going on in Taylor's life too.
Yeah.
So.
But of course, with that level of publicity, we're going to get some hate. And, well, Travis Kelce, who I've mentioned many times, did that crazy, awful reality show nearly like 6 or 7 years ago called Catching Kelce, where basically it was The Bachelor and he was The Bachelor. And then he had, I think they said something wild. I don't know how many people start on The Bachelor contestants, but like there were 50 girls.
Oh, yeah. I feel like on that first night, there's a ton of girls 50? And they just almost slash in half
on the first night. Okay. Either way, the girl that won the show, Maya Benberry, she ended up dating him for a couple months. The classic.
It was pretty brief after the show ended, but
reality TV relationship. She just kind of did an interview, dropped a little bomb, was just saying that once a cheater, always a cheater, alleging that there was some overlap / cheating when they split ways after she won Catching Kelce.
Yeah, I mean, this is to no surprise. She won the show back in 2016, and now she's like, oh, my ex, who I dated for a month, is blowing up right now. This sounds like a perfect time to just hop back into the media. And people started covering her. Yeah, the Daily Mail did that story. Once a cheater, always a cheater.
Yeah.
She's like, Taylor seems like such a great girl. Like, I just want to give her a little warning, acting like a little girl's girl. And Travis, though, already fired back and said, you just want your 15 minutes of fame. So
he said that. I do think she wants her 15 minutes of fame, but I feel like it wasn't this relationship, but it was his 5-year one after that with Kayla Nicole. I feel like there were also rumors at that time about some.
They were on and off, so they're. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what. So
I don't know about like you said, I don't know about cheating, on and off, whatever. But when I did hear that, I wasn't like, oh, that's completely not true. I was basically. Just based on reputations of professional athletes, I was like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it could be possible, especially, I'm usually the cynical one that I would just believe cheating is always happening, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But do you believe in the phrase, once a cheater, always a cheater?
I was going to say that exactly, is that I think that at that time, and if you know anything about Travis Kelce, he had like a massive maturation from when he was in college to now. I think he's changed a lot since he was 26 or whatever. And even if he did cheat at that time, I think you can change. What do you think?
I think you can too. I think, I don't know, you cheated on your high school. I mean, obviously cheating's wrong in all aspects, but as you get older, I think it gets worse and worse almost.
Yeah.
Like, just have respect for your person. And depends on how long you've been together, but still, either way, you should probably just be faithful.
Just give a heads up.
But I don't think I believe in once cheater, always cheater, because you can accidentally do it or do it on purpose and learn from that mistake and then learn from your next relationship.
Yeah. I completely agree.
As long as you feel guilty about it. I mean, if you're a serial cheater, once a cheater, always a cheater. You can just stop.
I think she was trying to get her 15 minutes of fame. I do think Travis Wood has changed, but I also think if he hasn't, he probably should if Taylor Swift's interested in him.
Yeah, I would
level up real quick.
I would definitely not cheat on Taylor Swift.
Yeah. They looked cute together. Like I said, it really did look like it was out of album, of hers.
Do you know what I love too?
What?
He's technically number 13 of her boyfriends that we've seen in the public eye. Yeah. I'm like,
are you technically a Swiftie? Like by default? Like I feel like you've never been this excited for things in her life until now.
I don't know. I might be. I think I am.
You are.
The only reason I don't consider myself a Swiftie is just because I've heard people talk about her in a more obsessed way. Therefore, you are a true loyal Swiftie where I really like Taylor Swift, but I didn't go to her concert. I didn't go to Eras. So can I really be a Swiftie if I didn't go?
True.
I don't think so.
But you went to Morgan Wallen 4 times.
What do you even call that?
Morganer.
I'm a Morganer.
I'm interested to see how this evolves. I wouldn't mind seeing the rest of the season, and I'm sure the NFL wouldn't mind seeing more Taylor on screens. It's a cute thing for right now. I think it's working for me.
I don't know why I'm just loving that she's dating an athlete right now. This is so out of her element, and she looked really excited and looked like she was having a good time. Everything felt really genuine about it, and I feel like he seems like funny and charming and seems to keep her on her toes a little bit, and they seem to enjoy each other's company.
This feels like a little opposite though of you remember that song "You Belong with Me"?
Yeah.
She's kind of playing the cheerleader now instead of the nerd. I don't know.
She is the cheerleader though. She's a nerd though because of how smart and all of the success, if you can say.
Okay.
What?
Jump off her bandwagon a little bit. Take it easy. I swear, if you go back 4 episodes, there's not this much fandom. Now Scarlett's I love this, Taylor Swift. Okay. Oh my gosh.
I'm sweating over this.
Staying in the NFL world.
Yeah.
At the same time, which good, bad, we'll figure it out. They announced who they're going to have as their Super Bowl halftime show, especially after we had talked about last week. NSYNC had done a reunion. People were speculating who's it going to be. Coming off of last year was Rihanna, which was I feel like it was a pretty big success.
How can you top that?
I just didn't know. I think that across the board, people thought it was a pretty big success.
Yeah.
So who are they going to get?
Usher, baby.
What do you think?
I'm a fan. He's been doing his Vegas residencies, and I feel like he's really been talked about a lot, and everybody's had really positive reviews about his Vegas residency. He's been in the media again, dropped a new song recently. He's supposed to be dropping his 9th album on Super Bowl Sunday too. So I think this is a good one.
I think so too. I just the one thing that I think is constant with good Super Bowl performers is people were saying in the comments that he's not been relevant for a while.
I don't think that's true.
I'm with you. I'm just saying what the people are saying. And my whole thing is that you have to have a body of work of a really long time. And so that's where him doing Confessions and with Lil Jon and
this is going to be really good.
In 2005, but then still having hits like OMG and those, which is kind of 2010, and then he still has new songs that have come out. I think that's the true a good Super Bowl performance. And then he's going to bring out multiple guests, surprise guests are going to come out, and I'm it'll be good, I think.
Right, because last week we were talking about how cool it'd be to have Britney Spears, and you think of that as the Eras Tour, which Taylor Swift catapulted that whole trend. I think I could see artists starting to do that more and more. And I just think it's smart because I think people love to see their whole catalog of their favorite artists, which we get to see in performances like the Super Bowl.
You know what I was going to say too, just on that? I have so many things that are popping in today in the moment. I didn't really think about this, but Eras, she kind of started that trend. But also Ed Sheeran, he did all 4, but I didn't really put that in the same category. But that really is these big artists are kind of doing that thing. I wouldn't be surprised if more and more we see people do and I'm going to do my greatest hits from 4 or 5 albums.
Yeah.
And then I feel like you can almost charge more just because it's you're getting, 4 hours of music versus 2 or
Taylor
whatever.
Swift was performing for 3.5 hours. Ed Sheeran was just in LA over the weekend, actually. My brother and
that's why,
they were there, and he dropped a new song there. Also, it's supposed to be based on Courtney Cox too. He played a snippet of Friends. I don't know the relationship or what that is, but anyways, but it's really cool though with him. Just really quick side note, he's been going to fans' houses to perform for them in live real time, and they say it's a surprise. I don't know how much it is a surprise, but at least to the fact that they don't know that he's going to perform. So then he's secretly though recording that song, and he's going to do a live album for his next one for Autumn Variations, which drops this week. In a couple days.
That's so cool. With Usher, though, doing the Super Bowl, he's also going to drop an album that comes out right before this, before the Super Bowl. I think, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's going to be good. Yeah. He's a good entertainer. He's been around for forever.
There was also a story that he's going to have pole dancers at the Super Bowl show.
Totally believable.
Yeah, so I think he's had them in his other performances.
I feel like that's a win for. I'm down.
Obviously, you're down. The only thing is, I feel like the Super Bowl, whenever things have been risque, they get a lot of backlash. I mean, you can take it back to the Janet Jackson when Justin Timberlake showed her nipple, or
had to be planned.
Remember, even Shakira and J-Lo's performance got kind of bad backlash too, because they thought
a lot of ass, right?
Yeah, a lot of booty shaking. I mean, Shakira can move those hips. Obviously, they don't lie. So I feel like sometimes they get a little bit of, would you say backlash? Because it is a family thing. So
yeah, I am in agreement with you. Now that you say that, I do think there will be
complaints,
guidelines, rules about if there's going to be pole dancers. And then number two, there will be complaints. And like we've seen over the past 3 years we've done this show, everyone always has a goddamn opinion on the halftime show.
Of course.
It goes every year. There's people that hate it and there's people that love it. You like talk to somebody and be like, oh, I didn't even watch. And it's like, why?
If you're not watching the halftime show, what are you doing on that Sunday?
Well, it's also like you get a free concert from a big performer. Like, just leave the dip alone for a second and go watch the halftime show.
Last year's Super Bowl was so fun. I watched it here at your apartment.
I know. It's fine.
But when I thought about the stripper poles and the pole dancing, I did think about when we were at Stagecoach and Diplo.
Yeah.
And I was just staring because I was like, how are they doing this right now?
They're like 20 feet in the air.
We're so hype in there doing flips. I feel like they were upside down for 10 minutes at a time. I was like,
terrifying.
So if it's going to be anything like that performance,
Scarlett's like, I'm in.
Pure skill right there.
The one thing I think was really cool that we talked about too before we got on was, because Apple Music somehow has a partnership with the Super Bowl to do that, the way that they rolled out Usher being picked as a Super Bowl halftime performer, they had Kim K, Deion Sanders, Odell Beckham Jr., all like do basically these cameos where they called old Usher from like 2005 or something, where he did like a little promo video too. And then they just both went back and forth like they were on a phone call about doing the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. But again, always, I was in comments, haters.
Well, to me, I knew that Usher was going to be the Super Bowl halftime show performance.
Sorry.
No, I didn't know. But I'm saying I remember reading it.
Oh.
But in terms of what I was getting just flooded with was still all Taylor Swift, which was crazy because on the same day, Taylor Swift was at the game at the same day. They announced the Super Bowl halftime show, but in their bio, they wrote Taylor Swift was here 9/24. The NFL did on their TikTok page and their social media pages. So it was just funny. I don't know. I thought that was funny. Just how much she truly took over.
Her influence is bizarre. It's like nothing we've really ever seen.
So do you think Kim K is a little bit pissed just because they had that little bit of their rivalry? And it just seems like Taylor Swift she's always been taking off, but right now she just seems like everyone's talking about her nonstop. And Kim K's fallen off in the media.
I feel like it's hard to really know the reality of that feud. I think Taylor is pretty serious about it.
Yeah.
Versus like Kim, I felt like was a backseat to Kanye's beef with her.
Yeah.
Like they were kind of together because so I don't know, but I do agree with you in that
Taylor didn't go to any of her concerts. I think
Kim didn't.
What did I say?
You said Taylor didn't go to... She didn't go to any Kim's concerts either.
No. The other way around.
Kim didn't go to any Taylor's. Yeah, I agree with that. The other thing is, too, is that you are right, though, and just the Kardashians, I feel like, have dipped a little bit in popularity, in, like, relatability. I don't think that many people watch the Kardashians anymore on Hulu. Like, I don't know. Maybe they do, but...
Specifically Kim, though, because we're still hearing about Kourtney and Travis. They had their baby shower, which maybe
Kylie,
maybe their baby's name is Rocky. That's been some speculation.
I could see that.
Name.
Yeah.
And then we're hearing about Kylie and Timothée Chalamet. They were at Paris Fashion Week and Rosalia's birthday party. And then Bad Bunny just dropped a song all about Kendall Jenner. So we are still hearing about them. They're in the news. But I feel like I'm surprised that Kim has been a little bit away. I know that there was rumors that her and Odell, it's funny that Odell and her were both in the halftime show, little preview clips with Usher, because there's rumors that they're dating or hanging out in early stages. But I don't know. I don't think it necessarily has to do with beef between Taylor and Kim. It's more so I can just see Kim getting a little bit butthurt and not being top dog.
Butthurt for sure. I could also see her coming back and saying, well, I was the first one to make dating the NFL player school. She like dated Reggie Bush for forever.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I do hear about Kim, though, more like in person-to-person things. Her doing American Horror Story just came out.
That's true. So
that came out. And then I guess she also launched an energy drink.
She did?
And so my coworker bought like 60, bought them in bulk from Costco. And so he like drinks them.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I like hear about them almost like.
Well, either way, she also is just such a businesswoman too. With Skims, that's one of the best shapewear, and she's launching it in so many different areas places, too. Yeah. So, yeah.
But
all in all, both great.
All in all, NFL is thriving.
They really are.
Yeah. I'll tell you who's not thriving, though. And you know what? I hate to see a downfall like this, but I am glad when we get like a little bit of a little bit more drama to a story that we thought was maybe over. Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner, that has blown up into a not amicable split. Mm-hmm. Do you
Which
agree?
I'm so happy you used the word amicable because in their statement they wrote, "We are amicably breaking up." Yeah. And I've been really getting into these little PR
words,
words and statements and everything, just because last week we talked about how Lizzo's tactic of kind of being silent has been working for her. Mm-hmm. And she got an award. She was at Beyonce's concert, and everyone's sort of forgotten a little bit about her lawsuits. Obviously, they're still being talked about because, she's in the middle of them right now, but she's not getting as much hate as I feel like other people have done apology videos and everything. Yeah. But with that PR, their statement, they said something about amicable, and I don't know, that kind of shot off the page for some publicists because it's like, why would you throw that word in there? And now this ended up being such a nasty divorce.
I think that the details that are coming out, this for me, all these details that are coming out, which we'll get into, they keep coming back to me as, what was the thing that happened that split it up? Because I don't think you do this, what's happening, if you're not both like, hey, it's just really not working. We have tried, to do this, do that, kids here, kids there. It's just not working, but I'm happy to, co-parent. It feels like something happened overnight, over a week. Yeah. Okay. They couldn't be reversed.
Well, what we do know is that she went through some postpartum depression after having her second child, who's now 1 year old. They also have Willa, who's 3. We know that. And then that Joe was not very supportive during that time for her. And that really made her separate from him, right? Because she didn't feel love from that and wants to have that in her partner. Okay. The other thing that I feel like was the big one was this ring camera footage that we still don't know. And for some reason, it just has slipped through the cracks almost, and we're not really talking about it. Yeah. But I'm thinking either someone was seen with someone else. Something happened there. But also remember we talked about in that Elle interview when she talked about her mental health, but also her main priority was, I want to make it back to the UK. I want to bring my family and live in England. And Joe was not happy with that. And now it's crazy with all his custody battles because she sued Joe. So he filed for divorce earlier this month, and then 3 weeks later, we really weren't hearing much from Sophie.
Right. And then we said that.
And we were saying that, and which also PR move, silence, and then boom, she hits him with a lawsuit, and she's accusing him of keeping her kids out of England and
withholding their passports
so they can't travel. So now she's angry. Now she wants the kids, and she's saying, we had a plan together that we were going to move to England. So I don't know if that was creating a lot of tension too, but maybe what he saw on the Ring camera made him change his mind. Now I don't want to move. I don't want to go for you because maybe you did X, Y, Z.
Well, yes, I am agreeing with almost all you're saying. My other thing was with the England thing, when she cited it in those whatever,
interviews, yeah.
sue when she sued.
Oh, when she sued, yeah.
Or whatever. She said that they had decided on that England move and raising their kids in England in December of 2022.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
recently. Just
what
last
I'm
year.
thinking is over that time, something changed.
Right.
And then the other thing that I don't know, I want to know how much you believe this. If you give it to the courts, I feel like you have some truth to it. I mean, people obviously have lied in court. I'm not saying, yeah, but she said that she found out about being filed for divorce through the media. Do you think that that is true?
I remember reading that and I believed it at first. I was like, jaw drop. But then when you really think about it, the only reason she possibly wouldn't have known is that she was so busy filming. But that also means that she had dropped all communication with Joe, which that's the part I don't believe, because they seem like they were, quote unquote, amicable enough to be talking about their kids. And Joe fired back, though, after her lawsuit and said, it's not true. I'm not abducting our children. He used the word abduct. And he also said that him and Sophie had talked multiple times about how the relationship wasn't working. So again, it's the he said, she said. It's so hard to tell in these divorces.
Yeah. And then what about, did you see, I know you know this, but the pictures of them with both of their kids in New York?
So it seems like Sophie has finished filming because she was in the UK and then she was in Spain for a little bit. But now we've been seeing her in New York. So it seems like she's back.
She's back, at least for some period of time. Saw the kids. We see all four of them together. Sources say that there was nothing happening at the table that made it seem like, oh, this, it wasn't amicable between Sophie and Joe. But that was right before she filed. I just think that whatever's happening, and the reason that I think this is so nasty is the amount of what looks like almost blindsiding people. Yeah. Whether it was Joe with the initial filing for divorce and not letting Sophie and her team know ahead of time, or Sophie filing this, to get custody of the kids and bring them back to England right after seeing Joe. And that doesn't feel like that was probably discussed between them there. Yeah. It was probably like, you know what? Let's do it right now, like when they're not expecting it.
I almost feel like they didn't even speak at that lunch. I feel like Joe looked really stressed out in that one photo. I think his hands on his face, his eyes look almost not even there.
Bloodshot,
and she's taking care of she's holding one of the kids in her arms. I feel like they weren't even speaking, really. Yeah. They were there. I don't think it was for publicity by any means, but I feel like maybe they had
public place.
Yeah, they just went out for a public lunch, and they seemed to be going into public places with their kids, because we saw Joe out and then we saw Sophie out with one of the kids too. And then we saw them together all before the lawsuit got filed.
What was your take coming back? Rewind 2 stories ago, Sophie out with Taylor Swift in New York. It's just funny. I don't know who did this as well, but I think it was I'm trying to remember which divorce it was. Maybe you'll help me. Yeah. It was like, there was another divorce where somebody chose Taylor over somebody. It was like Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively and all them were with Taylor as opposed to with somebody else. I don't know. But all I'm saying is Sophie Turner having Taylor on her side helps.
Amazing. This was such an iconic girls' night because we saw them out twice in 1 week. They got dinner and they went out. They went out till like 2 a.m. at Temple Bar in New York. Also just so fun thinking about hanging out with them in New York. But I think it's really smart on her move. Well, I hope that it is just organic. They're just friends, but having Taylor in your corner and showing that Taylor Swift is supporting you, I think is really good for her, especially when Sophie's been so silent throughout all of this. And then she's like, look who I'm hanging out with, trusting person. I think it was really cool. And just to know that she has a friend in her corner during this, whether she's been right or wrong in the divorce or Joe, it seems like they've probably both made their own mistakes, but at least she has a shoulder to lean on there.
This is just nasty. Like, It's not like it started out where, when these things happen and you're kind of like, ooh, what happened? It's kind of turning into, and we've said this before with divorces, anytime kids are involved, it's just not a good look to do the whole custody, the nastiness of it, versus if there's a little cheating, it's more like, that's interesting.
Luckily, their kids are really young. So I do think even as young babies, you can feel like tension, but at least they're not having to notice like, hey, are you going to dad's? Are you going to mom's? Are you not
14.
having to deal with this right now? Yeah. Because it kind of seems like their kids are being really used in this whole divorce. But I guess that happens when things get a little nasty.
Yeah.
Because one wants one over the other.
Completely agree. And then for upcoming events, the pretrial is happening October 3rd, which comes up in like 10 days, something like that. So, I mean, there will be more to come on this, unfortunately. So
I don't know if they're expected to be at that. They're invited to go, but they might not
send
show.
a representative.
Oh, but what they came to the conclusion, though, before we move on Monday, they agreed after the lawsuits and after his response, they decided their kids will remain in New York City, and at least until they figure out the custody and they figure out the divorce, the kids have to stay in New York.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me at first because Joe's traveling so much. He has a show coming up in North Carolina. He has a show coming up in Georgia. He's on tour right now with the Jonas Brothers.
Well, nobody's watching the kids, which is funny that they have so much care about them.
But now that I say that, it does seem like Sophie must be staying in New York to take care of them.
I think there's much more at stake with Joe believes that if they move to England, he will not see them a lot, even though he could fly back and forth. I feel like if people live in different countries,
he wants his life to be in the United States or in the States.
And she wants hers to be in England. It's very clear. And they're not.
I think that's enough to really tear a relationship apart. Think about a long distance relationship and then your guys are together for 5 years. There comes a point where you're like, okay, we need to move to the same city.
Yeah.
Granted, they were living in the same spot or traveling for music or for work. But if you can't agree sometimes on the location, you either have to say, okay, we're going to either be long distance forever, which is not realistic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to go separate ways, which it seems like this was what they're going to have to do here.
They have to go separate ways. And we're taking the kids with us.
Both of us are.
We're dragging them through the mud. We'll see what happens. Like we said, that October 3rd pretrial is coming up. So there will definitely be developments. Just hopefully the kids can be stay out of it as possible, but they're like right in the middle of it right now. They're right in the middle.
Yeah. We'll find out more. This is definitely not the end of the Joe Sophie.
Speaking of places that kids go, Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater were seen out for the first time kind of publicly at Disney World.
Disney World, good old Orlando together. Linked arms, going arm in arm. Clearly coupley vibes here. I feel like they were trying to be a little bit discreet. She had a hat on, or she had a hat on. He had his hood up, dark clothing. But I mean, I feel like you could still spot Ariana Grande no matter what.
Or when you're being escorted by a park official to take you to every different ride, and I'm assuming they're getting fast passed on everything.
They're pretty hard, jumping to the front of the line every single time.
Every single ride.
There's no way they're waiting in line. Could you imagine 45 minutes like?
So.
Hey, Ariana.
Loved you in Victorious.
But yeah, they were walking around. They went with a group of friends. Ariana's brother was also there and her mom. So I guess Ethan's meeting the family now too.
A lot of guys meeting the family.
Too soon. I used to think that
Travis and Taylor.
Too soon too.
Okay.
But remember Maddie
Too soon too.
But remember Maddie Healy was over there hanging out with Taylor Swift's dad too?
I will say this. Everyone meets Taylor Swift's parents. I remember like in the song All Too Well, it's like, who's about Jake Gyllenhaal. They like met, like everyone meets her dad.
And you know what? I think that's how Travis's parents are too. I feel like they introduce their friends. They're the cool parents. They're always showing up to things for their kids. So I'm still loving this more and more. It just does give similar vibes.
That makes sense. I can see that. Regardless, Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater, first time seen out in public since they like had that, both of them had the divorce. I didn't realize that just only in September did Ariana and Dalton file for divorce.
Right.
That feels like.
Yeah, they had announced their separation way back though. Technically their date of separation was back in February and then we didn't find out about it until the summer and then I think in May, but then they decided that they wanted to wait until they actually ironed out all the details. So I think that their settlement will come very quickly.
Yeah, hopefully.
But yeah, they just filed for divorce last week where Ethan Slater filed for divorce from his wife of 5 years, high school sweethearts, back in July, end of July. Yeah. So yeah, they're both dealing with the divorce. I feel like they've gotten a lot of hate because, Ariana Grande has been called a homewrecker through all this. Ethan's kind of being called a little bit of an idiot because why are you leaving your wife for probably a short-term fling this is about to be, and seems like they're just going to be, facing all of the backlash
uphill
together.
Battle.
Yeah.
I just want to see what happens when Wicked airs and it's over. like it premieres. Like once that every day seeing each other on set, I can imagine how that would be a very romantic setting. But then once it's over, it's like, okay, what do they call it? Hectic schedules.
Hectic schedules.
You know what I mean?
Well, they already are dealing with hectic schedules because he wants to make sure that he's co-parenting his daughter.
God.
So, and there was a report that they were giving each other space during this time so he could handle his divorce well. And then, you know, they would end up being in the same city eventually. But yeah, with Wicked coming, I mean, they're done filming, so they could be done. I honestly thought they broke up already. So I was surprised seeing them out together.
Dang.
I think this is still going to be a short fling. I don't see this going anywhere. And Ethan's going to be really regretting his decision.
I think I'm going to go with you on this one because last time I went against you on the Taylor Swift Travis thing. So I think I'm going to say, yeah, short-term fling. Yeah. You're saying Ethan's going to be heartbroken?
Ethan's going to be torn apart.
Ariana won't be.
She's fine. She'll just move on to the next one to break up a relationship.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll see what happens.
I've been an Ariana Grande hater. Alien haters come at me. Oh no.
Good luck. We talked about Kim a little bit earlier with her helping Usher announce the Super Bowl halftime show. But then recently, a person that seems like she somehow stayed in the news despite not really doing anything.
Yeah.
Julia Fox was interviewed for her new memoir. What's it called? Down the Drain, coming out. Yeah, and she mentioned some details or lack of details about her relationship with Kanye.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think, you know, that they dated back in 2021. Why does that feel like it was so recently? But really, it's been almost a couple of years.
Because it was so long ago.
Wow. Yeah. And they only dated for 6 weeks, but they were definitely kind of that hot couple there for a little bit because right off the divorce from Kim.
She was the first after Kim.
Yeah. And I think that's what made it so big too. And they made it very public. He was dressing her in all of the outfits, which he seems to be doing with his new wife, Bianca. I didn't know.
Hard to keep track here.
Wife, I guess you could say. But yeah, in this new book, she talks a lot about complicated relationships, and she tends to talk about some sex scenes too. And in the interview with the New York Times, she does not mention, or when they ask her, why'd you leave out Kanye? And she said, well, there wasn't really anything to go into detail about that. It wasn't that kind of relationship. It wasn't a sexual relationship. AKA, they apparently didn't have sex during those 6 weeks.
I really feel like that's possible. And I have a couple different thoughts on it. Number one being, we saw that whole divorce kind of play out during that Larry Hoover. Sorry. The charity concert they did with Drake. He was still singing things about Kim coming back. I think that at that time, he was still in love with Kim on like that level. Yeah. But then it was almost companionship that he was needing with Julia, and almost that muse that he kind of talked about, or she talked about with the fashion type of thing. Yeah. That she was kind of filling that void, but I don't think she was filling a lot of voids like from an emotional or sexual standpoint.
Yeah, no, I could see that too. And in another interview too, she talked about how she just felt like she was proud of herself for leaving that relationship because he had so many unresolved issues. I mean, remember right when they broke up, he started really going after Pete Davidson too. He was going through a lot with the divorce. Obviously, he was deeply in love with Kim, like you're saying. Yeah. So I think it was a rough time to jump into a relationship so quickly. But they were very public. He was getting her all those nice Birkin bags and everything. They seemed like they were a good pairing. She was saying she would have been more open to continuing a relationship with him if he wasn't in such a bad place, but she was glad that she got out when she noticed some red flags.
I think we call that emotionally unavailable.
Unemotionally unavailable.
Kanye.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've all been there. Yeah. Emotionally unavailable, you know? That just rewinded me to Julia Fox and her relationship with the mice in her apartment.
Never forget.
We're talking about her. Isn't that insane?
Here we are again.
She's like, I just love the mice. Like, they're so fun.
She's definitely an interesting one.
Unique character.
Yeah. And I think she's staying in the limelight because of a lot of her fashion and her crazy outfits on Fashion Week and everything. And like you were saying, Kanye, though, put her on the map for all of that, too, because he was dressing her in really cool outfits. I feel so bad for Bianca. He needs to up her style game, because if you're going to dress these women, like...
Nude's not in?
Nude's not in. Her nipples are out everywhere she goes. And she's wearing the same outfit. If I'm dating Kanye West, I want a new fit.
Basically, Kanye's not dressing her up in anything new that's like a sick fit. It's more like she's just wearing the same thing
Yeah, it's almost like she's throwing on pantyhose and a nude bandeau everywhere she goes, and he's walking around barefoot still.
You already know he's not taking criticism either. No constructive criticism. She's probably like, hey, like, anything else today?
And we didn't talk about this. I think it was last week, but them taking the photos, he's like, pose with all the tourists, and she's just like posing in her nude outfits. And it felt like that episode or scene from Game of Thrones. Okay, obviously people aren't throwing things at her, but like it just reminded me of that walking through the streets. What's her name?
The Walk of Atonement?
Yeah. But they're all posing, and I don't know, it just felt very bizarre, but hopefully all's okay.
That's scary. But yeah, we'll see kind of what comes out other than what we already know about Julia Fox and her memoir.
I think that's about it.
I'm not going to read it, but
I think that's about it. Because honestly, she probably would have gotten more press talking about Kanye, but props to her for not using that as clickbait though.
Good point. It's a good point. Respect, Julia. And finally, one of our favorite reoccurring guests, Britney Spears, was terrifying the nation, the world, with more knife videos. We've
known that she has these fascination with knives. And now, no, she's talked about it.
No, I know. And I'm like...
And I don't know where it comes from, but yeah, she posted this video on Monday night where she's doing this dance, same thing, same location, where all of her videos are. And she's flipping these knives around and clink, 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 clink. And you can hear them. And she edits the caption and she says, don't worry, guys. These are fake Almost toy knives, I guess you could say. But I don't think that fake, if they were plastic, you wouldn't hear that kind of sound.
No, it was a full on clink clack. Mm-hmm. That felt like metal.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. Obviously making everybody a little bit concerned.
There's no one around in the video.
No. And she's going through her divorce with Sam. So she doesn't have someone there, maybe probably bodyguard or some sort of people
the scariest music ever is playing in the background over like loudspeaker.
Mm-hmm. So people were drawing comparisons though to Shakira's VMA performance where she did the knife performance, but I feel like Shakira has training probably before she did that VMA performance where Britney looks like she just went to her kitchen, grabbed a few knives and started dancing with it.
I never recommend dancing with kitchen knives.
No, it's like Fear Factor. Don't try this at home. And no. Britney's trying everything
at home. I also, you mentioned, I just think that she's not looking sane in the videos.
I actually think she looks okay to me. She looks the same to how she has been.
I know.
Lately.
I think that she just doesn't look sane in general.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, but then she did post an update though, which is weird. In the second video, and she's wearing a bandage. Did you see that?
I don't know if it was a bandage or if it was a sweatband. Did anybody comment on it?
Yeah, and then in one video she has no cut, and then the second one she has a cut on her leg. So do you think she's accidentally like slicing a little bit, aka they're not fake?
I'm worried, and I think any one of these days, sadly, there's going to be bad.
It's so bad because some of the comments were like, "Call up Jamie, call back her dad." We don't need her dad back in the picture. Maybe not a conservatorship, but
we need somebody.
I think she needs somebody with Sam walking out the door.
I'm terrified.
I know. I hope she's okay.
If you get a chance, we'll put it up on our channel, but you should watch it on your own and make your own.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we're
off. Maybe we're off.
Maybe we are off.
Maybe knives are cool. Maybe knives are back in. Not in my world.
I know if I tried that.
Slice.
Not going to end pretty.
I do think that pretty much wraps up this week though, right?
It does. At Playing Telephone, you can get more updates on Instagram, TikTok, and full episodes are also on YouTube.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.